Palestine, the Ministry of Health reported that over the last 24 hours, hospitals in Gaza received 50 fatalities and 184 injured as a result of Israeli ongoing bombings. Through a press release, the health authority stated that several victims remain under rubble and on the roads, while ambulance and civil protection teams are unable to reach them. The organization also explained that the number of fatalities from the Israeli attacks exceeds 66,000, while the number of injured stands over 163,300. For its part, a spokesperson for the European Commission called for the release of all Israeli prisoners, unrestricted access for humanitarian aid, and an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees said on Monday that approximately 500,000 Palestinians remain trapped in Gaza City, in an area of no more than 8 square kilometers. Meanwhile, 70,000 Palestinians are crowded into each square kilometer in areas in the southern Gaza Strip to which Israel is threatening civilians to flee. UNRWA spokesperson Adnan Abu Hasna stated in a United Nations press release that famine has spread from Gaza City to the central and southern Gaza Strip. Abu Hasna called for an immediate ceasefire and for humanitarian aid to be allowed in. And the Global Sumut flotilla received humanitarian supplies from the Red Crescent, transferred with support from the Turkish Navy as it approaches the Gaza Strip despite military threats and drone attacks. The Global Sumut flotilla, made up of more than 50 ships with activists, civil society members and parliamentarians from several countries, seeks to break Israel's blockade on Palestine. The flotilla urged global organizations to coordinate and demand an end to the siege on the Palestinian people. They also made an urgent call to maintain pressure to ensure that humanitarian aid reaches its destination. On social media, the flotilla pointed out that organizations have the capacity to take action, but governments have the responsibility and means to play a stronger, more active role in ending the crisis. And Colombian President Gustavo Petro denounced attacks against his policies to combat drug trafficking despite the administration's previous efforts to combat this scourge. At a cabinet meeting, President Gustavo Petro reiterated his condemnation of Colombia's desertification in the fight against drug trafficking and highlighted his country's efforts. He warned that Trump's administration is threatening Latin America and the Caribbean to divert attention from the U.S. public health crisis due to high fentanyl consumption. The Colombian president also questioned the United Nations' inaction in the face of the systematic violation of international law by the United States and its allies. The National Association of Journalists of Peru reported on Sunday that police officers assaulted journalists and photographers covering the march of thousands of demonstrators protesting against President Dina Boluarte in front of the Peruvian Congress building. The protests against the government of President Dina Boluarte and the Congress were met with a violent response from the security forces. The National Association of Journalists reported 8 serious incidents, 6 of which were direct physical assaults and 2 were acts of harassment and intimidation against journalists. Sunday's protests united hundreds in opposition to the government, the pension system, corruption, organized crime, and the violence in the country. The Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador announced Monday the extension of its nationwide strike against the neoliberal and repressive policies of Daniel Noboa's government. During a press conference in Quito, CONAIE's President Marlo Vargas said that dialogue with the government was not an option at this moment and announced a list of 10 demands that the government must meet. Vargas also demanded an investigation by international organizations on the assassination of indigenous community member Efrain Fuertes and called for the immediate end of the massacre against the indigenous peoples. The social leader reiterated that peoples in resistance are not terrorists but heirs to a historic struggle for life, justice, and dignity. And the National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival holidays have begun, a week that celebrates the birth of the People's Republic of China 76 years ago. The commemorations open with a tribute to the martyrs of that process. Bruno Falsi, our correspondent, brings us more details.
Hello to all that's following us in teleSUR in English. Here in Beijing, the Chinese President Xi Jinping and other leaders of the Communist Party of China and the state attended a ceremony to present flower baskets to fallen national heroes at Tiananmen Square in central Beijing. The event was held to mark China's 12th Martyrs' Day. All participants sang the national anthem and then paid a silent tribute to the martyrs who had sacrificed their lives to the liberation of the Chinese people and the development of the People's Republic of China. 9 huge flowers baskets were placed in front of the monument to the people's hero. She and other leaders walked up to the foot of the monument, where he straightened the ribbons on the baskets before leading other senior officers in a walk around the monument to pay their tributes. During the historical period of China Revolutionary War for socialist construction, martyrs have sacrificed their lives for the independence of the country and of the nation, the liberation of the people, the wealth and strength of the Chinese country, and for social justice for all the citizens. According to the statistic, there have been about 20 million national martyrs since the beginning of the Chinese Civil War in 1927 and the Japanese invasion that started in 1931. Due to limitation of wartime conditions, many martyrs have not left their names. Now we go back to the studio in La Habana, Cuba.
In Palestine, the